Hello, everybody. I'm glad you're here today. Today is January 6th, 2026. And in this video, we're going to talk about some of the urgent things that are happening in the world that are red flags to me. I don't know how you feel about them, but they're red flags. We're going to talk about two things that have happened in the last 48 hours. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I should say this since January 2nd. So that's in the last 4 days that just raise alarm bells in my mind, and I would love to hear what you think also. So please feel free to share in the comment section. Now then, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about a dream I had that, you know how you have those dreams and you're thinking, I don't know if that was from God or not, and they keep coming up in your head. And so I'm just going with it. I'm going to share it with y'all. And then we're going to read out the Bible. All right, we're going to read out the Bible. So not necessarily in that order, but that's how we're rolling in this video. Now then, here are overall, when I look at world events, and there's a lot going on right now, y'all. There is a lot going on that I am, the Lord has told us over the last year, even in the last 6 months. A lot of us have gotten this, dare I say, message or a theme from the Lord that's like, hey, these are staged events. You're not seeing what's going on backstage, but you're seeing the show, so to speak. You know what I mean? So the Lord's and so as those things were happening, I mean, as the Lord was telling us these things, it didn't feel like anything was really happening that we could see. That's my opinion, y'all. That's how I was, and maybe I was just busy trying to hold my parents from around the corner over to this RV right next to my house, moving them. I don't know. That might be why it didn't feel like anything was going on. I don't know. But but it sure didn't feel like it does now. Now, after we have gone into Venezuela and we've captured Maduro, and now he's been in court, pleaded not guilty, and his wife, and blah blah blah. I'm like, what? I mean, can we just go in and just snatch up a president and say, we got you? I guess I don't know the legalities of that, and I really freaking don't care. I really don't. But it does make you wonder, like, oh, are is are we moving in this aggressive way now? We're not being so passive as a country. Are we just going out like an imperialist mentality? But also at the same time, I think the chessboard of World War Three, the chessboard is set and pieces are moving. And I think that Venezuelan attack, it wasn't an attack, but that operation was absolutely a move on the chessboard. That's what but I don't even know what it means exactly. But I'm like, I think it has long fingers that goes into many, many, many pieces of the game. And the nations, those dominoes have fallen and dominoes have been reset. And I don't know what those dominoes are. And if you do, great. You can comment and let us all know in the comment section. I mean, I'm no expert, but that's what generally I'm thinking about what's going on in the world. A couple of things have happened, like I said, that have raised my eyebrows. This is number one. We watch Flight, where my daughter, has Flight Radar 24 on her phone. And we noticed on Sunday night, and Sunday night is when we noticed it. I don't know when it started. We noticed it on Sunday night that there were absolutely, at the time we were looking at it, there were 0 military flights showing up on Flight Radar 24. Now, that does not mean that there were no military aircraft in the air. It just means they had their transponders turned off. Their trackers were turned off. So that, I assure you, is highly, highly unusual. Now, I'm not saying every flight radar was affected. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying that particular app was not showing any. The next day, 0. And then this morning, there might have been 1 or 2. I can't remember what she said before she left for work. But anyway, My husband and I have always said when we talk about flight radar, it's not what you see that you should be alarmed about. It's when you don't see it anymore. That's when you should be nervous. And so I thought, well, heck, there are no flights being shown that are military flights. And well, guess what? I can go out in my backyard and see the military planes flying over my house. And we can look at the app and it is not showing up. And that was happening even before all of it went dark across the nation. That was across the United States. I don't know about the rest of the world. That was across the United States. Now, so when you go out in your backyard and you see 3 Blackhawks flying over your house, and you look on flight radar and see that they're not on flight radar, that's means something. You'll tell me what it means because I'm not real sure, but it's something I take note of. So when that happened, I've already been a little bit tense about the Venezuelan shift in the nation. I don't like the verbiage coming out about taking over Greenland. That bothers me. I don't know. It just is like a burr under my saddle. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here. I'm along for the ride, as are you, because there's nothing really we can do except get ready as best we are able to. And that's going to be different for everybody. Now, when I get ready for hard times, I always think in terms of no electricity. That's my number one place I start. If we don't have any power, what do we need? How do we function? What kinds of things will help us mitigate that situation? Mainly because we have gone without power for long periods of time, and it is a challenge. And I don't like to be uncomfortable, y'all. I like my hair dryer to work. All right, I'm not gonna lie about that. And that's why I could never be a missionary's wife. I'm like, there ain't. If there's not a palm tree nearby, I can plug in my hair dryer and curling iron. I don't want to be there. That's kind of how I always was with being a missionary. I'm like, no, I'm not meant to be that. So anyway, a little insight into me. I'm not necessarily proud of, but that is just being honest. All right. So the flight radar thing was the one thing that really kind of bothered me. Second thing that bothered me, Duramax World News has, I guess, y'all, has been off of YouTube for a couple of weeks. I don't know if it was by choice. I don't know if they got reprimanded by YouTube. I don't know the details, but they were back up this morning. And I always like to read the headlines that are on that channel because they are not emotional. NY Prepper posts the headlines too, and I appreciate that. NY Preppers chat, what's it called? Where everybody's talking to each other, live chat. There we go. It tends to be very emotional. Sometimes I like that. It reminds me when I read it and EAMs are going off and people are, oh my goodness, stay close to the channel. This is it, It reminds me of when I was a little girl and we had slumber parties and we tried to, get in a lather about, was that a ghost over there or was that a this or that? You know what I'm saying? Try to scare yourselves and you like the thrill of being scared. That sometimes when I read their live chat, that's what it feels like. And, I'm not going to lie, I kind of like that sometimes. I know not to get sucked into that emotion, but it's kind of relaxing in a weird way for me. Same with listening to the EAMs. I mean, like I'll be sitting there crocheting, listening to all these EAMs, and then Skymaster. Man, when Skymasters come on, like, oh my word, I just like yeah. So I digress. Let us go back to Duramax News because this is where I saw it for the first time this morning. I was looking at their headlines and I saw this as a headline and I thought, no, that's ridiculous. So I checked other sources and sure enough, this is what was announced on January 2nd. And like I ran it off. I used a piece of paper, y'all, to run this off. I'm going to put it in my journal. So this is from Gordon Chang, and it's on X, and it says Americans should immediately leave both Russia and China. January 2nd, all Americans must urgently leave Russia. Those who remain should make a will and avoid social media. Fox News quotes the U.S. State Department. Russia is preparing a large-scale provocation with human casualties closer to January 6th and 7th to blame Ukraine and disrupt negotiations. Is this taken out of context? Is this just, I don't know. My eyebrows went up when I saw it. And I'll tell you another thing. When it says all Americans must urgently leave, it's not a suggestion. Those words are interesting words. Something that my husband and I have learned to do that have helped our relationship and our marriage for nearly 40 years. And we've taught our children this, is to never, oh, the irony of that word I just used, to be careful when you use words that are absolutes. Because when you start using always never phrases, you're always mean to me, or you never give me a hug, or whatever. When you use those extremes, you're not seeing it. That's not accurate usually. You can use absolutes when you refer to God. God never lies. God always loves. I mean, those things about God are, you use those absolutes. When it comes to humans and human relationship, those always never phrases, when you start a sentence with that, be careful, because they're usually not accurate. It's much more effective to go, sometimes it feels like you don't communicate with me about how late you're going to be out at night, teenager. and instead you say, you never tell me when you're going to come home. Okay, no, you don't say that. You diffuse, and this is just a little, this is for free, y'all. This is for free. This is life experience, okay? And so that's what, if you can couch your communication in those kinds of phrases, it often will diffuse and allow you to avoid conflict in relationship. So when I see words like this from someone who's smart in the State Department, all Americans must urgently leave. It doesn't say all Americans are recommended or we advise Americans. It said must urgently leave. Like, get the hell out of there. I mean, that's what he might as well have said that. And then it's like those who remain should make a will. What are you talking about? Ooh, there's a fly in here. When I see flies in January, I think, how have you survived? Some kind of mutated fly. Anyway, so like, that's odd to me. Those who remain should make a will. Like, you ain't gonna live. That's odd. Okay, so that caught my attention this morning, and I thought I'd share it. Those of you, if you have anything to add to that might enlighten me as like what this might mean, or the rest of us. I mean, I am not perfect, and I will make mistakes on here all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. So you need to tell me if I'm not reading that right, all right? But yeah, that makes me, honestly, I haven't felt this way in months. Probably in 6 months, probably since maybe even the beginning of the summer 2025, like June or May. I felt like, hey, we're kind of status quo on preps. I've been kind of replenishing what we use, of course, and throwing out what's gone bad. And so I've been doing that, but I'm checking what I'm low on, and I'm going to kind of establish where my prep holes are and kind of beef it up a little bit. Like, I'm gonna look over here at my laundry. I mean my laundry soap. I know you can't see it. I usually make big batches of laundry soap dry. I've tried the liquid. I hated it. But the dry I liked. And I finally found a recipe I really like. And you know what? I should make a video of me mixing that up so y'all can see it. It's cheaper than buying. It's not, the initial cost is not necessarily cheap. I mean, it's like $40 initially, but it lasts a good 8 months. Sometimes if I'm lazy and don't feel like doing a lot of laundry, it'll last longer. But it is really good laundry soap, laundry detergent, and I'm getting low. And I don't like that. I don't like to be where I can see the bottom of the crate. I don't like that. So it always makes me nervous. So probably today I'm going to go to Dollar General and get the supplies to make that and get that going. I mean, when the State Department says January 6th and 7th, I mean, like, I don't know what that is, and I don't know how it's going to affect the supply chain. And once you've lived through a pandemic, you're like, when the supply chain is affected and you can't get your stuff, it sucks, man. It sucks. So anyway, uh, on my last video, I suggested that people, y'all, anybody who felt like it or was inspired, to write down what they've been hearing in the Lord, and to write down any Bible verses they've been inspired to read, or what the Lord's been leading you to. And I do that now too, y'all. I love reading what y'all are tapping into and what the Lord is speaking to you. Hold tight. I think someone mentioned in the comment section, which I thought was insightful and aligned with a lot of what I'm hearing. One of the viewers wrote that the Lord had led them to read Jeremiah 25, starting in verse 10 to the end of the chapter. And I was like, this morning, I was like, hey, I don't know what I want to read this morning during worship. So we're just going to go to Jeremiah 25. I don't know when the last time it was I read that, but I'll read it. So as I was reading it, I came across a verse that resonated. And so I don't want to connect God to, mystically to every little, ooh, that was God doing that, or that was, you kind of tend to get to where a solid feeling of that's God. That was God. I can't necessarily say that in this instance, that this was God, although when I came to this verse, it did pop out at me like, oh, wow, that's like what I dreamt the other night. I'm just telling you. And if I put it on a scale, was that God, was that not God, I would probably lean towards that was God. Because to me, that's the safer way to lean. Because if I get to heaven, when I get to heaven, and if I get to talk to God face to face, or however that's going to work, I don't know. But I think I would rather him say, I'm so glad you listened to me when I was talking to you, instead of saying, I talked to you a million times and you would not listen. You would always think it was your own thoughts. So we're just going to err on the side of it was God. Okay, that's where I'm going. That's how I'm living now. I'm nearly 60. I'm going to go that way. All right. Jeremiah 25, verse 32. This is the verse that popped out at me. And if you want to read Jeremiah 25, you go read it. It's interesting. This is what the Lord of Heaven's armies says. Look, disaster will fall upon nation after nation. A great whirlwind of fury is rising from the most distant corners of the earth. All right, so that's the verse that popped out. That was like, oh, wow, that's what I dreamt. So it's been about, y'all know I write my dreams down. Taylor writes hers down. She's had some that I want to share with you lately. And then my dad has had one or two that we've written down lately. So we're still dreaming. I just don't share every dream on here. It's because sometimes they're for our family. Sometimes they're just for us to learn. So don't get mad at me for not sharing everything. This one that I had was a blip. And I have to be careful when I pay attention to my dreams, because I think about these kinds of things often. And because I think about them, they influence my subconscious, obviously. But this particular dream was crystal clear, very vivid. I still remember it weeks later, vividly. Even the sound of it, the noise of it, the color of it, everything. And because of that, when I discern whether it's from God or not, those are things that point to me or indicators to me that it's God. All right. Oh my gosh, look what time it is, y'all. I'm talking too much. All right. So here's the dream. And I'm calling this the whirlwind dream. Sound familiar? Just like that verse. So I was inside and I wrote it down. I'm going to read it. I was inside my house that I live in now, and it was a bright, clear day. Suddenly, I noticed, and the point of view was kind of from above, not from my house, but from the outside looking in. I noticed that there was a huge whirlwind tornado looking thing hanging in the air above my house. And it was not a tornado because it wasn't connected to any storms. It wasn't stormy. It wasn't black. It was what? It was clear wind. There was debris in it, but it was massive and it was in the air above my house. Um, and there was debris in it. And I called for Taylor to come look at this whirlwind above our house. And since she and I both were from the perspective, it was kind of, we were in the house and then we were out, we could see it from above. And it was still bright outside, daytime, and I looked out my kitchen window to the front of the house, and Taylor's car was there, which was white, and she doesn't have a white car, but her car was white and parked in front of the house, and all four doors were wide open. All four doors were wide open. And then I looked, and deep, it was kind of not my house anymore, but there was a room deep far away that I could see people mingling in there. And as I was watching those people, the the power went off. And there was a noise before it went off. It's like, whoa. You know that when you like pull down the power and it just goes I don't know if I'm doing that sound. I can hear it in my head. Whoa, like the power down sound. And it didn't click, it didn't pop. It's kind of a slow thing, and the lights went out. And I knew it was grid down, and that was the end of the dream. So I don't know if that makes sense to you. I don't know exactly what the exact interpretation is, except the whirlwind I knew wasn't for us. It wasn't about me and my family, like trials are coming our way or anything like that. It was more like there's there's something in the atmosphere that is going to really churn things up. I guess I think that the four doors of her car, I think the white represents Christ, that it was Taylor's car. I don't know if that has to do with the children because she's a child of mine. Like, this is for the children of God, this message in this dream. The four doors, four is the world. That being open, I'm not real clear. If y'all have a thought on it, let me know. It's going to take all of us, all of our talents in the Lord to discern these dreams and things like this. So I bring that to you humbly, asking you to ask the Holy Spirit, what is he telling you about my dream, or what are you dreaming? So those are my thoughts today. I've gone way over, y'all. I'm so sorry that I've just rambled on. But I would encourage you, if you do not know Jesus Christ, this is the time to prepare your soul to see him face to face. Because I don't know when that's going to be. You know, Jeremiah, when he was giving that prophecy, he was talking about the fall of Jerusalem. That prophecy, that whole Jeremiah 25 was saying the Babylonians are coming and they're going to take us captive for 70 years. I mean, that's what Jeremiah was talking about to the Jewish people. Listen, it's coming. And Jeremiah lived through that. I mean, when he was saying, they're coming, we're going to fall, um, he meant soon, like in his lifetime. He saw it, he lived it. So Old Testament prophecies have been fulfilled mostly. And I'm not a prophecy expert, but it is my belief and understanding that Old Testament prophecies have already been fulfilled. There may be some that have not, and I don't understand those yet. There's some in Revelation which I don't understand yet. But I'm not hanging my hat on all the prophecies. I hang my hat on Jesus Christ, and he's coming back. And I want to be ready. So that's the very essence of what I do and who I am. But the Old Testament prophecies can teach us about God, what he emphasizes, what's important to him, how he sees us, how he sees his children. Children being Christians. The believers in Jesus Christ are his children. So when I read Old Testament prophecy like Jeremiah 25:32, I go, wow, I think you're showing me, God, that dream is something I need to pay attention to. I think that was his way of communicating with me. I hope that all makes sense. I know many people probably don't agree with that when it comes to Old Testament prophecy. You have to take the Bible as a whole. It helps to understand biblical history, the history of the Jewish nation, the reason there was a new covenant, what happened to the old covenant when the new covenant was put into place, Jesus Christ and our forgiveness of our sins, the age we're living in now versus the age before Jesus was here. Those kinds of things are things you have to, that it helps to understand when you can't, it's very dangerous just to pull little proof text, little pieces in scripture here and there and say, see, this is what that means. You need to kind of look at the whole picture. So to me, everything points to Jesus Christ, and that is who we are devoted to and committed to, and who is our King and Savior. So I'm going to leave that with y'all. I'm so sorry it went long, but it is what it is. The Lord's going to just let me talk, and we're going to just go nowadays, okay? We don't have time to pussyfoot around and act like nothing's going on when something's going on, and sometimes it takes that long to talk about it. So, y'all do what you need to do today. Stay safe, America. From the pantry, this is Gina Lima Charlie. I'm out.